Well, hello everyone. Welcome back. I think, did I hit the button early then? I'm not sure. Welcome back to another live hangout. The last one for 2024. The final show, people. The final show. And I'm looking forward to it, as far as I get to spend the next 50 minutes or so with you and with Linda. And I'll bring excuse me, I'll bring Linda on in a moment. I want to just let you know I'm a little bit vocally compromised at the moment. I it's self-inflicted. I have overindulged in sriracha sauce over the weekend. I had a little bit too much, a little bit too often, and consequently my reflux has flared up. And will I ever learn? Not while ever there's sriracha sauce available. I probably won't. There's a few things I want to get to before we dive into the mainstay of today's live hangout. And that is, I want to let you know, excuse me, I want to let you know that currently I'm running a Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale on the Voice Essentials. What is it? It's the Voice Essentials website of all of the what is it called? What do we call it? Of all of the online courses and stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to choose which button I use. I'll show you. So this is how you get a hold of your savings. If you want to enroll in one of the courses, and I encourage you to do so, you get 50% off everything. And so you just use the coupon code Black Friday 50, and you'll get 50% off. That sale ends midnight next Monday. So you've got a week, and that means you can get the Pro Bundle, which is everything. You can get the Pro Bundle for $250. So it's literally, normally it would be $500, which is in and of itself a massive discount on if you were to buy everything individually. But it's a massive discount. I hope you can take advantage of it if you haven't already, and use it as the motivation towards your New Year's resolutions for your voice. Incidentally, that's the question we've gone with today for our final show. If your voice could choose a New Year's resolution, what would it be? Interested to see what you write down there. I also, because I don't want to forget to do this, so I'm going to do this up front. I've got a couple of thank yous that I want to send out. The first thank you, in fact, I'll say, firstly, I want to say thank you to Cathy Snider, who once again has been just a wonderful presence on the Facebook group, the Voice Essentials community group, and has once again organized us around the Christmas, the Secret Singer thing. I always go to call it the Secret Santa. It's called the Secret Singer. And we've done, this is the third year running that we've done it. At the end of this show, so I want you to stick around until the very end of the show, I am going to be showing my contribution, Run Rudolph Run. It's a barrel of laughs. I will show that as the end of today's live show. It will go live on YouTube as like a standalone, not until the 12th of December. So I thought I'd give you, those of you who hang out with this live chat and the live show, I thought I'd give you a preview. So I'm going to do that at the end of the show. Hang around for that. But Cathy organizes that every year, and I just want to say thank you, Cathy. You are awesome, and the community is the richer for your participation. And you know, if for those of you who are a part of that Facebook group, and anyone can be, incidentally, if you're not already, you should be. Cathy is such an active respondent to people's putting up of their recordings, and it's always she's always so positive and constructive, and yeah, a wonderful member of our community, very active and very integral person to our community. So thank you, Cathy, you're a champion. And now I'm just going to bring the other person who I want to say thank you to. Let me how do I do that? Oh, you would think after all of this time, Linda, that I would know what I'm doing.
Hello, Ben.
Hello.
We never really know.
I never really know what I'm doing. When it comes to the live show, I don't. I want to say thank you. Before we get into the rest of the show, I want to say thank you on behalf of the entire community here at Voice Essentials to you. The workload, I was saying to you, because we've got a list of stuff here that you've put together that we can talk through. And I said to you when we got together before the show started, I said, I'm just tired thinking about it. But you have done so much work around these live shows, and so I'm forever grateful to you, and the way I mean, how many, because I've been doing, we did the count, I've been doing the show for 8.5 years.
Yes.
But you've been actively participating alongside me for how many years?
I think probably six-ish, because we started doing the documents.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, the moderation.
Yeah.
And but it's good fun. First of all, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be part of, behind the scenes and stuff like that. I really enjoy it. So it's great because there's just so much community interaction and getting to learn things. I mean, I wouldn't know half the stuff that I do, how to do it if I didn't have to do it, if you know what I mean. And I actually really like it. So it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
The old saying, a burden halved is a burden shared is a burden halved, and you really do halve my burden of the live show. You really do. And
oh, thank you. No, it's fun.
Thank you. So let's talk through some of the stats, and we'll make ourselves tired as we go along. That's partly what we're going to do, folks, today is we're going to talk through, and we do this every year for the final show. Linda, for the last few years, Linda comes on and we chat through what the year has looked like, what the new year might look like. You can never tell the future, but what the new year is planned to look like, and then we're going to take some questions. And today this was Linda's idea. So if this goes awry, I'm blaming Linda. I'm blaming you, Linda. We're doing an Ask Dr. Dan Anything question. I saw a question there about my hats, which I'll be happy to answer. We can answer that later. But before we get into all of that, so put your questions into the live chat, everyone, and we'll try and keep. We're not doing our usual write the questions into the document because Linda we can't all do 2 and 3 things at once. So including today, we've done 36 live shows.
Mm-hmm. Number 36 today.
Number 36. Wowzers. And we had a pretty good run this year, didn't we, as far as tech issues? And
really the first one was half a tech issue because
was it
audio, because Kelly McDowell lost her camera, fell over, and
that's right.
Audio, which is still good. It's like a podcast.
I can't control that part of it, but
and that was really the biggest thing. And one was when you were actually sick, so you fell over.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So that's the other time that you didn't go to live.
Right. And what did we do here? We had a total of 23 Q&As. This next stat, which I was really interested to see, was We answered 112 questions on the show, not including the ones that we'll answer today.
Correct. 112 to date.
That's a lot of questions.
I was going to say that's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of you all
a lot
listening
of
to
answers.
me rabbit on. Wowzers. Now I've got a question. We have how many we had 11 special guests.
Yes.
And man, we covered some topics. But I've got a question for you, Linda, because you've highlighted some of them in yellow, right?
I did.
And
Highlighting things.
I want you've said these were your favorites.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, you've listed 3 guests as favorites. Firstly, Sharon Tree, who Sharon is actually also a very dear friend of mine. We talked about Myth Busting 101. What was it that stood out to you about that show?
Myth busting in general is always very interesting to me because there's so much information out there these days that is so accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
You just have to type in the question and you're just bombarded with everything that people decide to answer. And it's good to know from the source of someone who's authentically trained, experienced, and able to share what their opinion is. So you're redirected in a different line of thinking instead of, and if it's been falsely, informed before, you're corrected. So anything that's like that in any area, can be science with, health, general body health or diet, something like that. You just get to the heart of it and find out what the real truth is.
What the real truth is.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Trustworthy information. That was good.
The next one was Ken Bozeman. This was no surprise to me. Resonance and registers. What stood out to you about that one?
I think, first of all, I had to go back and remind myself, and then I realized why I liked it, because he went through some very interesting ways of forming resonance and getting there.
Yeah.
That's just practical. So he demonstrated things and it was easily accessible in terms of like reproducing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And so he condensed a lot of the information that he was obviously so expert in to something that would actually be able to apply, in our everyday lives. And so that was really helpful.
Do you know, one of the things I'm if I might be so bold as to say I'm very, and there are a number of things I'm very proud of with the live show that we do, the community that we've created, is the caliber of people that we get on to the live show is literally of international standard. And to give you an idea, for those of you who do watch the show, this year we've had on, I'm going to mention, Ken, Dr. Heidi Moss. Actually, Heidi's not a doctor. That's all right. You'd think she was, right?
She could be an honorary one.
She should be. Dr. Shannon Coates, Joanne Bozeman, Professor Dr. Trinice, Professor Brian. All of those people are regularly invited to Australia and to speak to the industry. And so the reason I'm mentioning that is that actually I just got an email yesterday, I think, from the Australian Voice Association of who I used to be the national president, and the AVA service speech pathologist, a small amount of singing teachers and laryngologists, and they are getting in Ken Bozeman to talk essentially on the same topic that he so graciously comes on and talks to us. And it's just so exciting, I think, that we have access to these amazing people as a part of the show, and that I don't pay them a cent. They come of their own volition, and they're so giving and so generous. Particularly at the time, they're often doing it at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
they're
so
lovely. Very nice people.
very
And
good, very good.
very
So I am very proud of the standard that we continue to put forth. The other one that you highlighted here was Tracy Osmond, The Journey to Vocal Health. What was it that stood out to you about that one?
that was the first one that came to mind, because here's someone who's personally experienced,
Yeah,
at grassroots level. I can just describe, she said, I can just describe exactly what happened to me, how it felt, what they found, pathology and everything, and the actual process of recovery, which is just goes to show what, the injury level of singers, professional singers, can be, and what it takes time-wise, patience-wise, and mentally, what it actually means to recover and come back to previous, if not better, health, which is really in the end, it's just really encouraging as well.
Yes. For those of you who missed the show, I encourage you to go and have a watch of it. Tracy is a long-term colleague, close colleague of mine from northern Queensland. So about 1,500 kilometres, so about 1,000 miles north of where I am. And the wonderful thing about Tracy is she's actually so authentic and vulnerable in telling her vocal health story. And she has been, for like, the stigma around excuse me, the stigma around voice damage has been such a long-standing one, and long enough that I remember Tracy being vulnerable and being able to express that, well over a decade ago. And I think it's a real credit to her as a pedagogue that she has, in many respects, kind of championed. Is that how you say that word, Linda?
That's the word I think you're looking for.
Yes.
Championed.
The idea of removing and diluting that stigma. It still exists to a certain degree, but it is certainly less than it used to be.
True. I think it is too.
So folks, I encourage you to go and watch those special guests. Like I said, 11 from the year. Wow. Man, oh man, that's cool. And then we've been doing these mini topics.
Yeah, those are fun.
How many? We did 8. Wow.
Yes. And some of them were with the Q&As, of course, but you cover 8 different topics in those. So those were really fun too.
And you listed your favorites again, breaking into the biz.
Yeah, that's just exciting. It's just like,
what was exciting about it?
But it's good to know. It's really honest, again, information that is in the real world. This is what you've got to do. Yeah. And you're going to fall on your face at least once. And just got to keep going if you really want it badly enough. That sort of thing is good. Yeah. So that was very helpful. Exploring genres, because I think we can get a little bit tunnel visioned into what we like, and we only listen to what we like, and then we only talk to other people about what they like when they like what we like. Yes. So it's a bit more expanding and mind expanding as well, to become a bit more familiar. Yeah. Because you never know until you try.
Well, it's a bit like, excuse the pun, but it's almost like our voice can find itself in its own echo chamber, can't it?
That's exactly the point. Yeah.
And so performance skills was the other one.
Yeah, because there's so much more in singing than it's just like playing the piano I've got right here, and it's just so much more than just putting your fingers and plonking down the notes. It's just same as you just don't go ba 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 with a straight face and no movement.
Yeah.
There's got to be expression, there's got to be loud and soft. So the whole package in order to convey,
Yes.
if you like, I mean, this sounds a bit sort of, what's the word? Probably a little bit too fancy, but it's the art of it, isn't it? You're expressing something to convey to the other person
Yes.
what the message is. So
Yes.
you've got to put in the human side, which is just more than a voice. It's
Yes.
it's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun too.
Something
They're all
that
fun.
that
These sort of
they
fun.
have all been fun. I've I enjoy putting them together and waxing lyrical about each of the subjects. Um, Something that I'm very conscious of the fact that I never did get around to actually doing was I suggested that we would, the idea of doing the live reaction videos to community
Yeah.
recordings.
Mm.
I want to make mention of it simply because I still have in mind to do it. I wonder whether I'm just a little bit. There's possibly two reasons. I might be a little bit nervous on two fronts. Firstly, the technical side.
Mm.
Getting it. There's a lot. If I don't know, if I haven't been able to ever show everyone what I'm looking at when I do these live shows. It's not. I don't do a simple show of
No.
just hit the webcam and we're on. Like it's a little bit more technical. But also probably, I want to do it in a way that is helpful and builds people up. And so I do still have, I'm mentioning because I do still have in mind to do it in the new year, in 2025. So
That's what I thought you were going to do it next year.
yeah, so everyone you can keep asking after that one. I don't mind being reminded, hey Daniel, whatever happened to, because
Mm.
I remember Kate McKenzie, she really wanted to do, remember we tried doing the live lesson thing and
Master
yeah, the
classes.
masterclass thing, and it was always a little bit I don't know if anyway, I think
All
this
right.
might be the hey.
It was all right. It was, I don't know what you're getting at. I thought it was cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're a participant in one of those.
Yeah, so I have to say that. No, well, it was cool and it was helpful, but I mean, I think that a lot goes into that. It's so multifactorial. Like you said, with all your technical stuff and things can go a little bit, there's a bit of delay and
Yeah, there's a bit of that,
everyone's,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
bit of a challenge.
there might be an easy way to do it.
Yeah. So I think next year, and the first show, everyone, for next year will be the Monday, the 3rd of
Mhm.
February. And so we take December and January off, and we do that every year. Linda needs a break, everyone.
I don't,
And
but I
so
won't get one.
and so do I. Um,
I'll get a little one maybe on New Year's Day or something.
yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. I
Mm.
hope you do, Linda. I hope you
Oh, I
do.
hope so.
Um, so we should get to some questions.
Yes,
Will we
please.
start with the where did I see the hat
First
question?
one from First one from Dorcas, wasn't it? When you flagged that one, because they're
Oh,
coming in
this was
lesson.
yep, I see that. I see
I
it.
haven't been paying attention a while
Actually.
ago.
Okay, so here's a question from Darkus. Should I take personal voice lessons or take lessons on YouTube? I'm not sure of what to do. Darkus, it really does come down to what are you seeking to achieve. If you are wanting personal feedback, then you really need the personal voice lessons. And it remains the gold standard, I think, of learning. That being said, and we mentioned them earlier, I've got the 50% off all of my online courses at the moment, which you might like to go and check out. And they don't come with personalized feedback, but there's a lot of content in there but you'll work your way through in a really systematic and methodical way. And a lot of people who are even in the chat right now have done those online courses. So it really does come down to you, your time, your financial situation, Darkus, because obviously personalized singing lessons cost more as well. So you've really got to take that into account. And what do you think, Linda? Thoughts?
Exactly the same, really.
Yeah.
I think it is good to start online, and because the options are there, like with your singing course, it's online, and then you can actually see if that's your style, if the person who's teaching is connecting with you and giving you the sort of results that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's and that's a reasonable, obviously that's a reasonable place to start, because you're also not paying for it. You're just doing it and then seeing if it works. And I think if you're serious about it, and it's almost a commitment decision. I think if you're committed to really trying hard and then looking for progress, that you should actually start with a teacher either online or in person, because that's more of a guarantee to me that you're going to keep going. I think leaving to your own devices, we're only human. Sometimes we can just call it a day. But encouragement from another person makes the 100% difference in that case, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's an important aspect of it. I mean, I know with my, PT at the gym, I never miss it, because it's an appointment that I have to keep, with another human being. Whereas I can tell you at 5:30 on a Monday morning, if I didn't have the appointment, I'm more than likely not to go to the gym. More than likely. So that you do make a good point, but it really comes back to that that personalized attention that you get from the individual lessons, which you just simply, and I think you will ultimately on through YouTube you'll reach a ceiling. There is a thus far and no further point for a lot of people, and add to that, I think that the variety of voices can be a bit noisy on YouTube, and it's if you investigate singing lessons on YouTube, it's not too, and you really deep dive into that, it won't be too long before you are hearing two different singing teachers giving you opposite advice. Like the exact, like one's telling you to do this and the other person's saying, definitely don't do that. So it is good to commit yourself to an authoritative voice, a voice that you can trust, and really, run with that voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good question. Who? Darkus? Darkus, I think, yes, Darkus is a new name to us.
It is.
Yeah.
Haven't heard from him before.
It's good to have Darkus with us. I also just want to say thank you to the new members of the YouTube channel. Something I didn't mention before. What we started this year was a membership here on the channel, and I know that Dean is a member. Linda, you are a member. Kelly is a member. Kate, Mackenzie Kate is a member, and yeah, I encourage people to. It's one way that you can support the channel. For basically the price of a tall coffee once a month, you can support the channel and what we're doing, and that would be great. So thank you to those of you, including you, Linda, who have become members. Now, a question that I saw listed was about my hats.
Okay.
And you can't, no one else, I don't think anyone else can see it, but I can see it.
No, it must be quite high out.
It's bizarre. It's something. Anyway, I can see it. I'll read it. This is from Neebe. Dr. Dan,
okay.
Where did you get your hats, and which is your favorite one? Any fun stories about the hats? I think I might have mentioned this historically, but Nebi, you've been around for about a year, so you might not have heard the story. Why does Dr. Dan wear hats? Well, it's actually it's not very exciting, Nebi. As you know, I have long hair, right? Why do I? So I've got to talk through this bit first. Why do I have long hair? And so many people would go, well, because he's a muso and blah. Well, yes and no. Actually, I have, you know, Boris Johnson, you know, the politician.
Most people would know.
Most people would know. You know how his hair is just.
He was funny hair guy.
If I kid you not, if my hair is that short, I go Boris Johnson. I'm not kidding you.
Boris Johnson hair day.
The solution, and so that's what hairdressers, whenever I go to a new hairdresser, which is not very often because I have a hairdresser that does a really simple but good cut, they always say, you've got really strong hair. And so to have short hair, I have to put bucket loads of expensive product into it, and I am your quintessential Australian male. I don't have time for that. So the solution is to have it long and literally just every morning comb it, put it back, and then because it's so strong, it will still make its way out of the ponytail. So I got into the habit of wearing a hat to keep it in place. I told you the story was boring, but Nebi wanted to know.
That's a great story. You've got like really strong animated hair, Dan.
I do have very strong.
It's got a life of its own.
It's got seriously, it has a life of its own. So then you get into the realm of, well, I can't wear a cap everywhere. If you run into me privately, you'll catch me wearing a cap, like a baseball, like, you know, like a cap. Is that what we call them?
Yeah, baseball cap.
A baseball cap. But professional, like when I'm working, whatever. Actually, I've been wearing this hat a lot. This is actually an Italian-made hat. We have a store here in Brisbane called Hats Are Hundreds, or Hats on Hundreds or something. And it's a hat store, and if I'm buying a new hat, I often go in there and have a look. So there you go, Nebi. That's the story of the hats. It all starts with Dr. Dan's crazily strong hair. And it just so happens that it suits, well, I think it suits the profession I am in to have the long hair. And anyway,
it's you wouldn't be you without your hat now.
Well, I might not be. And I'm just saying, we're getting some, I hope we might be getting some buffering, everyone, because the tech might be playing up. Hopefully that's going to
tell you it's okay at my end.
So Linda, let's go to, I'll give you a question, because you said David, your husband, has a question.
Oh, okay.
Which we decided not to tell me what that was.
No. Okay, but he had a couple, and I do see some others, some cool questions in the chat just underneath the window, from Rebecca and Kelly. So we'll get to those. So here's one.
Okay.
Is there a song, Dr. Dan, is there a song you'd love to be able to sing, but don't think you can pull it off, and why?
Well, it's interesting because I did it's funny, not knowing that this question was coming, I was thinking yesterday, literally yesterday, I was thinking that, because I did a reaction video of Dimash doing I forget what the song's called, it's from The Fifth Element, and it's him doing, there's a particular alien song in that, and it's more of an operatic piece, but what it would take to do that is quite extraordinary. And it's not an area that I've ever trained in personally. And so I think that would be quite radical to kind of give that a crack. But I don't know that I'll ever have the time that would be required for me to dedicate to it.
Maybe when you retire.
So that's
if you retire.
the other area that I would really love the time to work into would be distorted vocal, purely from the point of view to say I could do it really well.
Yeah.
Purely, like it would be purely for my own satisfaction.
Sure.
Okay. But
I'll let David know. Thank you.
You can let David know.
I'll
Thank you,
let him
David,
know.
for your question.
You have to look up the Damash song.
Did we have another question?
Yeah. Not from. I did from David, but there are questions in the chat.
Yeah. What's who from?
There's one. I know I'm coming down. I hope I don't. Apologies if I miss anyone above this. So shout out if I did. So Rebecca Martin asked, Dr. Dan, what is your favorite TV show? And did you ever watch 5 Mile Creek? My sisters and I thought about this question long and hard.
Okay. So let me just jump in here. I've got to get rid of this other one because see how it's cycling now? I've got to turn that off.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Okay. So hopefully that's going to... No. Come on. Did I get the right one?
No,
Oh,
we're still on darkness.
It's still not doing what I want it to do. Why is it not doing what I want it to do?
It's stuck.
Okay. Here we go. I hope that's right. What is your favorite TV show and did you ever watch 5 Mile? I've never watched 5 Mile Creek, Rebecca. I don't even know. Have you ever watched 5 Mile Creek? Linda?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I've never even heard of it.
No. Well, that makes
I'm so sorry.
that makes 2 of us.
Like I've had my head in the sand, but
so so my favorite TV show I loved. There's 2. Well, I probably could. Now I'm starting to think about. I could go on and on and on. Actually, I'll stick to 2. 2. I love the X-Files.
Ooh.
The truth is out. The truth is out there, Linda. I love the X-Files. Oh, now can I have 3?
No.
Oh. I loved West Wing.
Oh, interesting.
Loved West Wing. And I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to go. And I'm a big fan of Seinfeld. In fact, I've watched far more Seinfeld than I have of X-Files and West Wing.
It's easy to watch.
It's very easy to watch. Yeah. And our house is a running one-liners of Seinfeld. Our life is a constant reference to Seinfeld one-liners.
That's interesting. Yeah. And people know what you mean when you quote one line. It's a situation and there's just one line.
There's just one line and everyone, particularly in our family, everyone knows exactly the scene, who said it, So, yeah.
I'm sure people get that. It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But I like TV, Linda, and so there's quite a few that I remember. Yeah. What else have we got?
Kelly had one, I believe. Hi, Dr. Dan. Can you remember a moment in your career that was a turning point or an aha moment?
Here it is. I can remember getting I did my master's performance, and I had a great sense because the master's performance was a 1-hour show, a one-man show that I had to do, because my master's was both a thesis and a performance master's. And so there's a lot of preparatory work, a lot of work in getting ready for that show with live musicians and, and I remember getting to the end of that show and feeling like I was ready to, and I'd been professionally performing for years before this, but I got to the end of that show and really felt like I was ready to do this professional singing thing, even though I'd been doing it for years. I think it was just the culmination of the really hard work on really difficult repertoire, and I ended up getting, at the time, I got the highest mark that had ever been listed. For I don't know that would be still the case, because this was back in 2002. So it's a long time. It was 22 years ago.
That just happened.
There's
to be
been
honest.
plenty of time for plenty of people to break that record, but it was 95 out of 100. Like, I really had a great sing. So so that was probably a bit of a mental turning point for me, Kelly. And as far as aha moments, I think every time I open my mouth, I have a, I think that the learning of singing is such a lifelong journey that I think if you remain an active learner in the experience of singing, I think you regularly have these aha moments. And I think I'm not trying to dodge the question. I really do think that's the case. I'm regularly having, experiences where I could have done that, or I'm glad I did that, or yeah. What about you, Linda? Have you ever had an aha moment?
Aha moment. I don't know if I ever have. It's more of a sort of slow burn. Because I think that it's like you can go away from something for a while because life takes over, or just phases of life, especially in young adulthood. I'm kind of in mid to late adulthood now, and it's kind of when you come back to singing, and especially if you ever have an opportunity to sing live, that's when I had my aha moments. It never goes away, but it's reawoken.
Yeah.
I think something that's been intrinsic and just never had a chance or the opportunity to realize.
Yeah.
And so it does happen. And when it does hit, then you take literally a step back and go, oh, that was significant. It means something. So don't take those little moments for granted and brush it off and go, oh, that was a bit of a fluke or something like that. It actually is a very significant thing that means it's important. And do something with it.
I think we're very quick to devalue our personal experience at times, aren't we?
I think because of life, it's just you think, oh, and it's just you. It's kind of just you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it does.
Have we got any other questions?
We have one that I don't really understand.
I've just seen that Singwise, Karen is joined in. Hi, Karen. Karen's a long stayer and as a part of the show. Been around a long time.
Yes,
Karen
was the first guest you had.
What?
In terms of pedagogue.
Is that right? There you go, Karen. It's claim to fame.
Yes. I'm going down to the bottom so we could work our way up, so we don't want to miss out on the people who ask later.
We don't.
Often that is the case. So Patricia Collins, and I apologize again for other questions not yet gotten to. Firstly, do you have children, and would you encourage them into the arts, singing, acting? My daughter works in Europe, but it is a very hard road. In hindsight, I'm not sure if I would.
This is a fraught question, Patricia. I do have kids. I've got 3 children. Um, 2 of them have already moved out of home. One of them is just entering well, she just finished her second last year of high school. She's going into her final next year. My son is in the Air Force, and my daughter is my eldest, who is 23, is a registered nurse. So to answer the question of, should we, this is such a difficult question to answer, because it really has to be individualized to the person, I think. The challenge that we have around the arts, and in fact, actually, I'm going to answer it a slightly different way. We had a conversation. We are currently having a conversation with my youngest. We're starting to talk vocation and, where does she want to go, because she's coming to the end of her high school years. And she has a particular passion around caring for animals, which is a wonderful passion to have. And she has a way with animals as well. The conversation we've been having is it's an area that is unlikely to be a space where she can earn a consistent income of in a world that requires money to go around. It's a difficult one. And so we've been talking about, well, what are the, in that same zone, what can she do that would allow her to engage in that passion, but equally have a vocation that facilitates that passion, if I'm making any sense. I think the same thing can be said of the arts. For many young people, it's a very strong passion. I know I grew up with it being a very strong passion. But I've never, and Patricia, I'll tell you my experience, I've never been able to only sing as a money-making aspect of my life. I've always had to have a portfolio career. For me, I really enjoy teaching. I'm very passionate about it, and so I chose to go down the direction of teaching voice to be pretty much my mainstay income, which I was then able to make some good coin on, as a supplement to that. But it could never have been my primary income. I say that recognizing that there are people in the world who are making a lot of money as with performance as their primary activity in the arts. But that group is firstly very small. Certainly in Australia, it's like minuscule. And it's the exception, not the rule. And so I'm typically encouraging young people, and we did this with Jaden, our son, our middle child, who has a certain capacity for music, plays piano, plays guitar, sings, and really enjoyed it. But we did try and, alongside him, work that towards it remaining a passion. We encouraged him in piano lessons and all of those things, but we were not unhappy to see him take a pathway that led him down the road of an active vocation. What are your thoughts, Linda? Because you are a parent of four
I am a
beautiful
parent.
children. Well, they're not children anymore. They're all young
Oh, thank
adults.
you. They're, they're my children. They're just big now.
Yeah, they're just big.
Um, yeah. And there's a tiny bit of buffering, Dan, just a tiny bit,
Is there?
just momentary, and
Okay.
just letting you know,
Okay,
but it
thank you.
hasn't fallen over. Um, I think the thing is when you've got children who have interests, um, it's one, it pays to obviously acknowledge that and not put your ideas onto them.
Yeah.
Like if you missed out on doing something, don't expect your child to take up where you left off to fulfill that
Yes.
vicariously for you. It is about giving, I think, support to what their interests are, but also, as you said, and I can say this in retrospect of myself growing up and my kids now still
Mm.
choosing career paths, that there is an element of not squashing your dreams
Yes.
or your plans,
Yes.
being sensible and having your, it's like a plan B. Maybe plan A is the big, I'm going to try my best to
Yes.
get to the top. But you've
Yes.
got to have a plan B because in real life, you've got to have something to monetize and to have regular
Yeah.
security
Yes.
from. And that's what 99% of people will do. The whole, it's the rare ones and the top of the top that have not just the talent, but the work ethic, the opportunities, the social networks, and probably the affordability of time because it takes time to get to that. And in the
Yeah.
meantime, you've got to do something. You
Yes.
can't wait for your
Yeah.
one glowing opportunity to blow
Yes.
up the internet.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that
Yeah.
way. As much as we'd like it to,
Yeah.
it really doesn't. So I mean that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And I think, and also give them some credit for hopefully having a good sense of that themselves when they get
Yeah.
to a certain age. And I'm blessed with kids who have good heads on their shoulders that they actually can work it out as well. So
Yes.
it's more of a team effort, but you're there to support them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it is that to just follow up on what you've just said. It is that development of a portfolio career for most,
Mm.
people in the arts. And there is some good coin to be earned in the arts as far as performance goes. The challenge is the consistency of those
Mm.
those jobs. That's
It-
the
Like
difficult. Yes, it is. It's very so having something that's a little bit more consistent and more constant.
Mm.
I've just looked at the time, Linda. We've got time for one more question.
Wow. Well,
Was there any others?
well, there is one, but it's not for you. It's a question from Bradley Munro, the Music Man. I'm just grabbing it because it's a question to ask you about some advice for him. So can I
Yeah,
give you a traditional Q&A question
you can.
to round off the questions? Okay, so Bradley Munro, the Music Man, asked, "What should I do to get my singing voice ready for when I sing in Steinmetz Hall in the choir this coming Tuesday, which is tomorrow, I
Tomorrow.
presume, for us?"
Um,
Um,
Bradley, I would be encouraging you to be mindful of what you are eating. No sriracha sauce, Bradley.
unless it's good for your voice.
Which it typically, for me, it isn't. So be mindful of what you're eating. Be mindful of your sleep, ensuring that you are getting really good sleep in the lead up to the show. And then make sure that you are
Okay,
measured
we've
in
buffered.
Sorry? What's that? Linda? I'm going to keep going. Making sure that you are regular in your voice use. Like, don't find yourself, doing anything overt with your voice. And then make sure you warm up on the day, and don't over practice. Whatever you haven't learnt before the day and, you know, being able to commit to memory and those sorts of things, you're not going to achieve on the day. So cramming vocally is never a good idea. So they're the things that I'd be encouraging you to do in the lead up to. And there can be a lot of excitement amongst a choir on the day of a performance. Be careful that you don't do too much voice stuff on the day and get too excited with nattering with the choir members. Just keep it calm, keep your voice use really level, and yeah, I think I'm sure you'll have a great great gig. Bradley, what do you have any other thoughts, Linda?
No, you've covered it.
Covered it?
I reckon. Yeah, that's good. That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Again, keeping it simple and straightforward so you can accomplish it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very easy, isn't it, to overthink these things.
And some people are naturally overthinkers.
Overthinkers.
One.
You know, and the application of the KISS theory, isn't it? You know, keep it simple, stupid.
Simple.
You know, actually, maybe we should say keep it simple, singer.
Good one.
Good one. There we go.
I like
and
that.
I think that's yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. There is a place for the complex, but that needs to serve the simple, I think.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think so.
Well, we've come to the end. We for those who have been brave enough to stick around for the conversation, we get to we get to play Run Rudolph Run. I really hope you all have a lot of fun with this. This is a Chuck Berry piece. Oh, Linda, do you want to, before I introduce the song and sign off for the year, do you want to say anything to finish?
Finish. I'm Linda Dalton Singwell. No.
I love it. I love
that from someone. You can't say that now. No, you can't. Sorry, seriously, folks. I wanted to wish everyone a really good forthcoming festive season, a safe time and a healthy time, and to you and your loved ones. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in this year and being part of the show and being part of the chat. It's lovely meeting people and getting to talk to them, be it online.
Yes.
And I think, thank you. And I do say this at the end of every year. And honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart and from all our hearts, Dr. Dan, for your hard work and your time that you give to us. It's been just more than, anyone could ever ask for as far as, a singing teacher or singing coach goes, someone who's a friend as well as a very excellent vocal coach. It's really appreciated.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
If we were to go back 10 years before I ever started the whole Voice Essentials thing, I used to hear people talking about these online communities, and I never really knew, how can you have a community on like what does that look like? And now, being where we are right now, I can truly say we have a community here at Voice Essentials. It is a group of people that we all know each other, in a fashion, and I think it's such a wonderful thing, and that's the reason why I remain committed to the community going forward into 2025, because it's such a wonderful group to spend the time with. And so thank you for your words, Linda, and thank you to everyone. It wouldn't be a community without everyone chiming in every week to participate. The Q&A would be pretty boring without any questions.
Just be talking about mowing the grass and eating.
I did mow my grass on the weekend, and I do enjoy mowing my grass. But yes, that would get pretty boring pretty quickly.
don't know. Anyway,
it's
been fun.
time to sign off
So
for
much fun.
2024. Some context for those of you who don't know, this song was selected for me. This is not a choice I made for myself. It's a Chuck Berry piece called Run, Rudolph, Run. And it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. And I hope it brings you a little bit of joy as we head into the festive season. Again, everyone have a great festival season. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, I hope that's a good one. Oh, and I think it's Thanksgiving in the US this week, so happy Thanksgiving to all of the US people. And we will see you. There will be videos going live, 3 videos going live every week over December, January. So it's not as if we're going silent, but we will see you in the next live show on the 3rd of February in 2025. I hope to see you all again then. We'll see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.
He can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, 'cause I'm reeling like a merry-go-round. Said Santa to a boy child, what have you been longing for? All I want for Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. And then away went Rudolph, whizzing like a shooting star. Hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, reeling like a merry-go-round. Run, run. Run, run. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, I'm reeling like a merry-go-round. Said Santa to a girl child, what would please you most to get? A little baby doll that can cry, sleep, drink, and wet. And then away went Rudolph, whizzing like a saber jet. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, run, Rudolph, I'm reeling like a merry-go-round. Run, run. Run, run.
Merry Christmas, everyone.